So QI started operation in August 2017. We are APEC, ILAC MRA signatory for the medical testing as per the ISO 15189 standard. Also for the testing and calibration as per the ISO IC 17025 standard. So let's talk about QI structure. QI having a four verticals: Center for Education and Training, under which we do offer various kind of training as per the different standard, whether it could be a medical laboratory or hospital or clinic, or it could be a testing and calibration laboratories. So as per the different standard, I 15189 ISO, ISO 17025, ISO 17043, and other hospital accreditation, we do offer training for those standards. Then we have CHSC, Center for Accreditation of Health and Social Care, under which we do offer accreditation for the healthcare facility like vision centers, uh, small and large hospitals, and other healthcare facilities. Then we have Center for International Accreditation (CIA), under which we do offer accreditation as per the ISO standards, whether it could be medical laboratory, testing and calibration laboratories. Then we have Center for Accreditation of Veterinary Facilities (CAVF), under which we do offer accreditation for the veterinary facilities. So let's thoroughly go about our CIA, Center for International Accreditation. Center for International Accreditation is former Center for Laboratory Accreditation. Chairman is Professor Vikram Kumar, is former Director CSIR National Physical Laboratory. So under CIA, we have a various kind of programs. We do offer accreditation for the medical laboratories as per the ISO 15189 standard, which are for medical laboratories, requirement of quality and competence. We also do offer accreditation for the testing laboratories as per the ISO IC 17025 standards, general requirement for the competence of testing and calibration laboratories. We are do also offer accreditation for the biobank accreditation as per the ISO 20387. We were the first time in India those who offer accreditation for the biobanking. We also do offer accreditation for the inspection bodies as per the ISO IC 17020 for the conformity assessment requirement for the operation of various types of bodies, those who are performing inspections. We also do offer accreditation for the proficiency testing provider as per the ISO IC 17043 conformity assessment, general requirement for the proficiency testing. We also do offer accreditation for the reference material producer as per the ISO 17034 standard, general requirement for the competence of reference material producers. So far, we have given accreditation to the 120 testing labs. 18 medical laboratories got accredited by QI under ISO 15189 standards. So four calibration lab got accredited under QI, and four biobank in India we have given accreditation, and one PTP got accredited with QI. So for CIA program, we have international recognition. QICI is a full member and MRI signatory to Asia Pacific Corporation APEC. We are also full members MRI signatory of International Laboratory Accreditation Corporation ILAC. So, these ILAC scope covers testing as per the ISO 17025 and calibration also, and testing for the medical laboratory as per the ISO 15189 standard. So this is our golden hallmark of QI, which refer to the quality. So which we do offer any of the testing labs, those who successfully complete the QI accreditation process. QI is the second largest accreditation body in India for the laboratory accreditation. So QI having a geographical spread all over the world. We have a global presence in Mongolia, Myanmar, Nepal, Bangladesh, India, Maldives, Qatar, Bahrain, South Africa, Ghana, and Morocco. So these labs are got accredited under QI. So our CIA program is accepted by Bureau of Indian Standard (BIS), Eastern Railway, Central Public Work Department, Directorate General of Quality Assurance, Power Finance Corporation, Coal India Limited, Legal Metrology Department of Consumer Affairs, National Highway Authority of India, Military Engineering Services, Power Grid Corporation of India, Bureau of Energy Efficiency, Rights Limited, Public Work Department MP Government, Bhil Bhopal, Director of Urban Administrative and Development MP Bhopal, and National Building Construction Corporation. So this is all about QI. So further session will take care by our speaker, Mr. Srinidhi. I'll just brief about his expertise thoroughly. So Mr. Srinidhi will take care of overview of the ISO standards. So his qualification, he's a ME Master in Engineering Embedded Systems. He is having experience more than 13 years of experience in research and development and manufacturing, quality, and ISO 17025 and calibrations. He is currently working as a director in Regal Caltech Private Limited, Tripur, Tamil Nadu. This is a calibration lab accredited as per the ISO 17025 2017 standards. And he is empanelment with QI as a technical assessor. He is also a trainer for the ISO 17025 and measurement uncertainty. So this is all about today trainer. I welcome Mr. Srinidhi to take further. Over to you.
Thank you for that. So is the presentation visible for everyone?
Yes, it's visible.
Very good evening. I'm Srinidhi. So I'm here to handle the presentation for introduction about ISO IEC 17025 2017. Okay, so let's start with this. So ISO 17025 2017 version, it is a standard developed by IEC and ISO. Okay, so this standard specifies the requirements for testing and calibration laboratories, the competence that a test or calibration lab should have. Okay, so what is ISO? ISO is an international organization which develops standards. It is a non-governmental organization that develops and publishes international standards. So it may be of quality management system or any management system or any technical standards like testing standards, calibration standards, anything like that. We can say from bed to bed, the entire day, whatever we use, there is an ISO standard playing in there. Okay, so that much wide ISO standards play a role in the world. Okay, so similarly, IEC is a organization that develops standards for electrotechnical things, something like batteries, semiconductors, or power electronics, any electronic things, electronic things. IEC comes into picture. So this specific standard, which is for testing and calibration, has been developed jointly by ISO and IEC. Okay. So where it is applied, for what organizations this ISO 755 is applicable? Okay, it is applicable for any organization, any lab that does testing and calibration, testing on any material and calibration. Okay, so it is applicable to any organization regardless of how many parameters they test, how many parameters they calibrate, or any number of it is independent of number of tests or number of personnel, anything. Okay, it is not dependent on the scale of the organization. So let's start with the classes of the standard. Okay, so ISO 17025 2017 has 8 classes in total. Okay, out of these 8 classes, first 3 classes are just information classes. Okay, so you don't get any implementation specifications from these 3 classes. Okay, so those are scope, normative references, and terms and definitions. So these give you an overview of the standard and give you some information about the standard and how to go with that standard. Okay. So coming to the next, here comes the main thing. Starting from class 7 through class 8 are the implementation classes. Okay. If a lab wishes to get accredited for ISO 17025, if it wishes to implement a system as per ISO 17025, classes 4 through 8 are mandatory. So these has to be implemented. Okay. So let's discuss in detail about these classes. So starting with class 4. Okay, class 4 is general requirements. Until the previous version of ISO 17025, impartiality didn't find much importance in those classes. But in ISO 17025, as you see, that is the first important class given in the standard. Okay, so impartiality is such an important thing for any test or calibration laboratories. Okay, so what is impartiality? So impartiality is being neutral. So being free from biased reporting. So it is like a lab should not be having any conflict of interest while providing the reports. Okay, it may be a commercial interest, financial interest, or any relationship interest. Commercial interest in the sense for the sake of increasing the turnover, increasing the sales, giving a unfair report, it should not be done. Okay. Similarly, financial interest in the sense like providing incentives to the technicians. If they complete a number of tests, you will get this type of incentive like that. So this forces the technicians indirectly to do more tests where they may skip some tests, skip the methods like that. So that should not be done. Similarly, relationships. There should not be conflict of relationship. Giving a favorable report for maintaining a relationship like that. So this should not be done. And impartiality class clearly defines that the management of the lab has to take care of that. Okay, so the management is the primary responsibility for this, and the lab has to identify and manage risks regarding impartiality. Okay, similarly, coming to class 4.2, it is confidentiality. Okay, confidentiality means confidentiality about the data, both the lab's data and the customer data, because while doing the tests or calibrations, we do collect a lot of data from customers. Okay, so we should not be disclosing it to anyone unless required. Okay, so that is the requirement of the class 4.2. So class 5. Okay, there is a structural requirement. What is structural? So how a lab should be? What is the structure a lab should have? So this standard gives an outline of how it should be. Okay, so primary thing is it should be a legal entity. Okay, legal entity in the sense it should be either a proprietorship company or private limited or public limited LLB or something. So it should be a legal entity. It should be a registered legal entity. That is the primary requirement of this structural this class. Okay, so it should, second thing is primary thing, it should have a defined set of activities. So in the terms of accreditation, we call it as scope of accreditation. That is scope of activities. Whatever the lab intends to do, whatever tests, whatever calibration the lab intends to do, that is called as the defined set of activities. That's the scope of activities. So the laboratory should define the set of activities. Okay. And it should have a defined management and organization structure. It is like the laboratory should identify a management and it should define an organization structure. It is like defining the hierarchy of the organization. Okay, so it should have authorized person for each and every task it is supposed to do, and it should define the roles and responsibilities for all the activities required by this standard. Okay, so class 6. So it is the resource requirements. Okay, so resource in the sense, what is the resource for a laboratory? Okay, so resource I can define it as 4 items. Okay, see, whatever activities to be done, but in any context there should be 4 M's: man, machine, material, method. These are required to do any tasks. Okay, so in this context of ISO 17025, the resource can be defined as man, machine, and material. That is the things that you require to do a test or a calibration. That is to do an activity in your lab. Okay, so in that personals, so resources, it can be classified as the following. 6 point. So 6.1 general, it defines like it is an overview that the laboratory should have the required personnel, facilities, equipment, and support services with required competence to do the activities that you define. Okay, in the previous class, it is said that you have to define the scope. Okay, the other class says that this class defines the that the lab should have these facility, these personals, the resources required to do those activities. Okay. Second one, next is the sorry. So in this, the class 6.2, it is personal. What is personal mean? Personal means the resource requirement, manpower requirement. Okay. See, the laboratory should have not only the manpower, it should have competent manpower. What is competence? They should have the required knowledge and skill to do the activities given to them in the context of the scope defined by the laboratory. Say, for example, if you want to do a say for example, if you want to do an electrical testing, you should have a resource who has capable, who has the knowledge, who has skills to do the electrical testing. Okay, so those things, those competence requirements has to be defined for this particular activity. A person has to be hired who has this experience or this knowledge of this education qualifications. So this standard defines that the competence requirements for each and every activity has to be defined. Okay, second thing is it is not only about defining, we have to ensure that the resources have the train, that competence. So we have to give training, we have to evaluate them. So all these things has to be done. Okay. So third thing is like we should have all the documents, records of selection of personnel, like interviews, evaluations, like that, the training, supervision, authorization, everything for all the things. We should have records, documents, everything. Okay. So let's come to class 3. 6.3, which is facilities and environmental conditions. So for doing it, as I say, man, machine, material. Only man can't do any work. Okay, so you should have the required equipment and the required facility. Okay, so this standard ISO 17025 outlines the requirement for facilities and environmental conditions. Like it is any laboratory can be classified as permanent laboratory or at site, okay, or like a permanent laboratory outside of its permanent control, like that. Okay, so there are classification of this. Like site facility means you can do the testing or calibration at the customer site. Okay, similarly, permanent lab is you can do the testing or calibration in the lab, like that. So there are classifications like that. So it should a laboratory should be classified any of these things. Okay, and environmental conditions for doing any calibration or test, as you might be aware of, the standards, the technical standards, the testing standards like ISO, ASTM, or JAS, GB, they define these environmental conditions to be maintained for that particular test. So those has to be maintained. Okay, so and it also defines certain restrictions about who can access what facility, like that. Okay, so those things has to be implemented. So important thing is like we have to regarding environmental conditions, we have to define the environmental conditions required for each and every activity. It's not only about defining, we have to maintain that documented environment. Okay, and we have to monitor, we have to record it during each and every activity. Okay, that is very important. And next subclass is 6.4, which is equipment. So man, machine. Okay, so it is like equipment. Any laboratory that does a test or calibration should have access to the equipment. It is access in the sense it should have a permanent access. Okay, they should own the equipment. Okay, required for the activities it is supposed to do. Okay, and it's not only about having the equipment. The laboratory should have a documented procedure to handle the equipment, to use the equipment, how to use the equipment, how to store the equipment, how to transport, like that. And it also defines the requirement to evaluate the suitability. Okay, so for doing this test, we should have equipment with an accuracy of this. with an uncertainty of this. Like there is something called TUR. A person who is in a calibration lab will be knowing about TUR, test uncertainty ratio. Okay, so those things are to be evaluated before employing that equipment for your activities. Okay. And the subclass 6.5 it is and another 6.5 it is metrological traceability. So what is metrological traceability? So metrological traceability is basically calibrating the equipment. Okay, so the equipment uh, which you are using should be traceable to the SI units through the calibration chain. So that is called as traceability. So it gives the confidence to the lab, to the testing or calibration lab, if the equipment is in a good condition, if it provides the required accuracy to do those activities. So metrological traceability is a very important class in this standard. Okay. So 6.6 subclass, which is externally provided services. So externally provided services can be a spectrum of activities starting from, as we discussed, calibration. Calibration is an externally provided services. Okay. Similarly, purchasing an equipment, purchasing any other support services, all comes under externally provided services and products. Okay. So the standard defines a set of guidelines how to do this. Okay, so the first thing is the lab should define the requirements. So I am going to do this test, so what is my requirement? So I have to buy this equipment and this accuracy. So who will provide that equipment? So we have to compare and we have to choose the best thing. Okay, so it's like we have to define the requirements, we have to ensure if the requirements are met, we have to evaluate the supplier, then we have to take action. Similarly for calibration, so calibration, we can choose the laboratory based on the CMC. We call it as CMC, calibration measurement capability. So based on such things, we have to evaluate the supplier. Then only we'll have to choose the supplier. Okay. So so let's go to the class 7. So this is the class 7 is process requirement. So this is I would say this is the heart of the standard. Okay, process requirements class 7 covers the entire activities that you do on day-to-day basis. Okay, the moment you enter the lab and you exit the lab, in between whatever you do, it is covered in this. On day-to-day activities, it will be covered in this. Okay, so for example, buying an equipment, it doesn't happen anytime. Okay, it doesn't happen daily. Okay, calibrating an equipment, it doesn't happen regularly. Okay, so those are all not applicable on day-to-day activities. But process 7, it is completely applicable for your day-to-day activities. Okay, so it starts with like a review of request. So first of all, what is a request? So if a customer asks comes to a lab and gives a sample to test it. Okay, let it be any electrical component or a textile component or any food or a cosmetic, whatever it is. So that particular thing. So I want to test this item or I want to calibrate this equipment. So that is called as request. Okay. So what is review of request? So it is the laboratory's responsibility to review that the requirements are adequately gathered from the customer. So what you want to do? So you have you what standard you want to follow? Is it an ISO standard or ASTM standard or GIS or GB or BAS? Whatever standard you want. So we have to get such technical details, and we have to get the decision rules to what is the criteria for pass or fail. Is it an intolerance or out of tolerance? So for those things, we have to get the complete details. So requirements has to be adequately defined. Okay. So and we have to ensure that the lab has the capability to do that. Okay. It doesn't have the capability, that is have the adequate resources at that time to do this uh, activity. It can be either a test or calibration. Okay. And the lab has to select appropriate method based on the request. Okay. Then as I said, you should have you should get the decision rule from the customer. So based on that only, if the customer requires a statement of conformity, we can provide it. Okay. So if there are any deviations in the requirement given by the customer, it has to be addressed. Okay. So 7.2 is the selection, verification, and validation of method. So any activity that we do, okay, that should follow a method. You should have a defined method to do that activity. For instance, if you are doing a test, so I will be following this method to do the test. Okay, so you should have a defined method to do any activity. Okay, so you have to select an appropriate method to do that activity. Okay, so either the customer has to specify the method which the test or the calibration has to be done, else you have to select an appropriate method by yourself. Okay, so it can be, the method can be either a standard. As I said, it could be an ISO standard or ATCC or ASTM or GIS, GB, a number of standards are there. So it should be either standard or it can be a non-standard method. If it is a non-standard method, it is the responsibility of the lab to validate it prior to applying that non-standard method for testing or calibration. So next is 7.3 subclass is sampling. Sampling doesn't apply to all the laboratories. Okay, so either the customer will be sampling on their own and bringing the sample for testing. Okay, and some cases the lab may be sampling at the customer's facility. Okay, they may do the sample. If that is the case, the lab has to have a sampling method, sampling plan, everything. So the lab has to adhere to that. Okay, and it's purely the discretion of the lab. Either they can choose to sample themselves or they can choose to sample with the customer. Okay. So next is 7.4 handling of test or calibration items. So it is about handling. So there are a lot of materials that the properties change. Okay, say for instance, food items, they do degrade. Okay, so if they are not preserved properly, the the result won't be correct. Okay, the properties will be changing. So the laboratory should have a procedure for transporting the samples to receive how to receive. So what is the procedure to receive? So how to handle that, how to store them, after testing, how to retake the remnant samples. So all these things, the laboratory should be having a documented procedure. Okay, and a very important thing is that the laboratory should be having an unambiguous identification system. I mean, the lab should provide ID for each and every sample that they get. Okay, and at the same time, there are cases where the received sample is not even given properly by the customer, but the result won't be will be out of tolerance or fail. So there might be conflicts. Okay, so it is very important to check the deviations while receiving, because certain samples, a sufficient quantity of samples will not be provided. So it is the responsibility of the laboratory to check that before receiving the samples. Okay. So similarly, class 7.5 is technical records. So any observation sheet or worksheet or anything is called as a technical record. Any calculations that you do, like measurement uncertainty, everything is everything are technical records. So those has the laboratory should have a procedure to say, handle those technical records and to preserve those. Okay, so how long will the samples be? How long the samples be stored, like, okay, I mean, how long the technical data will be stored at the lab, like that. Okay, and very important thing is that all the technical records should be traceable to using what method, what the test or calibration has been done, uh, which resource did that activity. So everything has to be traceable in that technical records. Okay, and class 7. Okay, class 7.6 is ensuring the validity of results. So, what is ensuring the validity of results? So, it is like, so we are providing a result, okay, how valid the results are, how correct the results are. So the lab has to be confident about its activities. So for that, the lab may follow a few methods. Okay, the lab may use any reference material, or the lab may do proficiency testing, or they do inter-laboratory comparison or intra-laboratory comparison, say like a retesting or recalibration or replicate testing, replicate calibration, to ensure that the results they are providing using their equipment and their method are correct. So this is very important, and these things has to be done once in a while. to ensure the results are. Okay. So based on that, if it is not, if doing a PT or ILC is failing, the lab is supposed to take corrective actions to improve their uh, results. Okay. So next is the class 7.8. It is about the reporting the results. Okay. So any report before giving to the customer, before releasing, so reports has to be reviewed and authorized by an authorized person. Okay. So the reports has to be accurate, clear, and unambiguous, and it should be objective. Okay. It is like it has to give a clear cut result. Okay. It cannot be a subjective thing. Okay. And it should have the standard defines certain elements that are mandatory in a test report or a calibration report. Uh, the report shall have a title, details of the customer, a unique ID, I mean a report number or something like that. Details of the method used, which is a very important thing because the customer has to know on which basis the which using which method the activity has been done. Okay, and the environmental conditions that has been maintained to do that activity like that. And very important thing is after all these things, if the customer has requested a statement of conformity, then the lab is obliged to provide a statement of conformity based on the decision rule provided by the customer. If the customer doesn't provide, the lab may choose their own decision rule. Okay, or it may be defined in the standards. And another important thing in reporting of results is like the amendments to the reports. Okay, so the amendments like a report may be amended due to some reasons based on the customer's request. So whatever amendments we do, that has to be clearly mentioned in the amended report, and a procedure has to be maintained for doing the for issuing an amended report. Okay. So 7.9, it is handling complaints. So the laboratory should have a procedure to handle complaint. It should cover the entire complaint handling process, like how to receive a complaint, who will receive a complaint, who will validate it, who will investigate a complaint, and who will decide on the course of action. So, and the time frame for this, everything has to be different. And there should be a method to track the complaint. So, what is the status of the complaint? Has it been closed? Whatever it is, there should be a method to, there should be a procedure to track the complaint, status of the complaints. Okay. And it's non-conforming work. So most people would have been heard about the thing called NC, non-conformity. During if you have faced any audit for that, you would have come across a term called NC, non-conformity. So non-conformity is different from non-conforming work. Non-conformity is something given during an audit, a first party audit, second party, or a third party audit. Okay. Here, class 7, some class 7.0, it is non-conforming work. For for instance, so we'll be having a procedure for all the activities in our laboratory. Okay. Say for example, a test has to be done in this particular method. So that method defines the environmental conditions required, the temperature and the relative humidity required for that particular test. Okay. But the technician who does the test or calibration didn't maintain that, has done the test without maintaining that environmental condition. So this particular thing was not done as per the procedure. So anything that is deviating from the defined procedure is called as non-conforming work. Okay. And the lab has to have a person who can identify the non-conforming work, okay, and who can assess the risk because of that non-conforming work, okay. Like what happens if the environmental condition is not maintained? So if can the result be valid or it is invalid? Should we do the test again or can we allow the test to go further? So like that, the lab should have a procedure to handle all these things, okay. So coming to the yes, 7.1 is it's about control of data and information management. And data is very important for all the laboratory activities. See, if a person wants to do a test, he should know the method. Okay, he should have a knowledge about the method. So he should have access to the method. Okay, then he should have access to the things like data sheet or observation sheet or worksheet. he should have access to the reports. So these things has to be provided, but in a controlled manner. Okay, like unauthorized access of data should be prevented. Okay, so any calculations, most of people will be using any spreadsheets or any software. If in that cases, we have to validate the calculations in that spreadsheets or softwares. Okay. So class 8 is the management system requirements. Okay, this is very non-technical, and it majorly outlines the quality management. Okay, so basically, quality manager will be the very appropriate person to handle this system. Okay, a person who has a very good knowledge in ISO 7. Okay, so quality management system documentation. So it can be classified as level 1, 2, 3, 4 like that. So mostly level 1 will be the quality manual, then quality procedures, then formats, records like that. Okay. So those has to be defined. So it is like defining in the sense which is the current version of the document or format that is being used. What are all obsolete things. So that has to be segregated like that. Okay. So and okay, then it should laboratory should also should have a policy and an objective. Okay, objective should be a defined one. Like it should address the competence, impartiality, and consistent operation of the laboratory activity. Competence in the sense, it should cover the training of the persons. It should cover the maintenance or calibration of the equipment. So it should cover the competence of man, machine, material, everything. Okay, and impartiality. It should give emphasis the impartiality, and it should have a consistent. I mean, what are the steps being taken to uh, employ the system consistently? Like okay, and the objectives, it should be very objective, like it should be quantifiable. See, like the customer satisfaction will be about this percentage, and the ensuring the result, the PT, like we will be doing n number of PTs per year, n number of ILCs per year. So it has to be defined, it has to be quantified. Okay, so that is when a lab can ensure that it is being achieved or not. Okay. So control of records. So control of records, like whatever record that is being generated. So who is authorized, when the record shall go further, when the record should not be proceed for the next step like that. Okay. So whatever records it created during the entire from class 4 to class 7, all these records has to be cut. Okay. And action to address risks and opportunities. And another concept that is being emphasized in this 2017 version is addressing the risk and opportunities. So any organization for that sake will be having risks. Okay. So as I said, impartiality is a risk. Okay. So impartiality, if a person is being impartial, the quality of the lab will be degraded. Okay. Similarly, if equipment malfunctions, it is not maintained properly. If a wrong method is chosen, if a wrong person is chosen for an activity, it will degrade. So all these risks has to be identified. First, they have to they have to be evaluated for their severity. Okay, so it's normally they use a risk matrix. Okay, severity and uh, the frequency. So based on that, they will give a risk index will be given, and based on that, the action will be either to mitigate it, to avoid it. So whatever based on the risk, that action has to be taken. Okay. So similarly, the lab will be having opportunities. If they are having opportunities, what is the value of the opportunity? If it is high, what action has to be taken? If it is low, what has to be done? Like, okay. So this is purely for the improvement. See, this standard, as said, the main aim of this standard is for continual improvement. Okay. The classes 8.5, 8.6, 8.7, these address that particular aspect of this standard, which is continual improvement. Okay. So coming to improvement and corrective action, improvement is like we have to identify the points that lab can improve. Say like I can I can expand my scope. I can include a few activities in my scope. So this is an improvement. So the lab can take a note of this improvement and can have a timeline and they can work on it and they can. Okay. So it is an improvement done by a lab by itself. Okay, and corrective action. So it can be from any non-conforming work or any non-conformity during the audits. So corrective actions to be taken. Okay, so these three 8.5, 8.6, 8.7 subclasses, they address the continual improvement. Okay, so class 8.8 is about internal audit. So it is like audits can be classified as first party audit, second party, and third party audits. First party in the sense the lab or any organization for that matter audits itself. Okay, that is the first party. So internal audit, as said in 8.8, is a first party audit. Okay, any person from the lab itself or arranged by the lab externally, but arranged by the lab, has to conduct an internal audit. That person has to be well experienced in ISO 17025 2017. Okay, so he may cover the entire spectrum of activities. Okay, all the classes, okay, and all the activities, all the scope elements has to be audited. Both site, permanent lab, whatever scope they have, it has to be covered in that internal audit program. And important thing is the lab should have a internal audit plan. It has to be done in a specific interval. Okay, they should have an internal audit plan, and the scope of audit has to be defined, and the non-conformities act has to be addressed, and they should corrective actions for the NCs has to be taken. Okay. And 8.9, class 8.9 is the management system requirement, and 8.9 is management review. So management review is nothing but it is sort of a meeting, okay, between the management and the laboratory person. Okay, so it is like discussing what is happening, how the quality management system as per ISO 17025 is being implemented. Is there any barriers? Is there any improvements to be done? So all the things are discussed, and based on that, the actions are taken. Okay, so as I said, not only 8.567, 8.8 and 8.9 is also for continual improvement of the laboratory. Okay, so it is the management review is very important because this this highlights that the management of the laboratory should have the commitment towards the quality. So they are the ultimate, they are the top of the hierarchy, and they have the ultimate responsibility towards the quality of that laboratory. Okay, so 8.9 is very important. So coming to the next thing, so role of accreditation in enhancing the quality and credibility. Okay, so accreditation is, it's like as I said, accreditation is normally a third party activity. Okay, so we apply for accreditation, and as assessor from a third party comes and audits our laboratory, assesses our laboratory, like assesses our competence to do the specified activities, and they give an accreditation certificate. Okay, so here please note, I'm saying accreditation and it's not certification. Okay, that's the difference between accreditation and certification. ISO 9000 standards, series of standards. For example, ISO 9000 series of standards is certification. Okay, they are only quality management system. Okay, it is like the assessment body will check if they have the quality management system in place. Okay, but they are not concerned about the competence. If the organization has the competence to do something, but here in accreditation, both the system will be assessed, and if the person, I mean, as I said, man, machine, material, method, all these things are competent enough to do those activities. So that is the difference between accreditation and certification, and ISO 17025 is accreditation. Okay, so what are the benefits of getting accreditation? International recognition and access to global markets. So, as Manish explained, there is something called ILAC MRA. Okay, so if you are a person who does business, export business, okay, so if you are providing test results or calibration reports to a customer in another country, then ILAC MRA comes into play, and very well. QA is an ILAC MRA signatory. Okay, so it gives an access for you, that is your results are accepted globally. Okay, so that is first and major benefit of accreditation. Second thing is time and money efficiency. Any system that we employ improves the efficiency. Okay, and ISO 17025 is no different from others. Okay, so it improves the efficiency of the lab. Okay, in doing their activities. Okay, enhanced customer confidence and satisfaction. Absolutely, because we maintain our personnel. We have a competent personnel, we have competent equipment, we have follow proper methods. If everything in place, we'll be providing a good, a very good, valid results, and that improves the confidence about our lab to the customers. Okay, robust quality management system, it is top of everything. Okay, and continual improvement. As I said, class 8.5 to 8.9, it addresses the continual improvement. Okay, and better operational control. So with this, we will have a procedure to do what to do and what not to do, and how to do, and who will do. Everything will be there, and you will have a better control over all the entire operations, entire activities in your lab. Okay, assurance and accurate, reliable results. Again, same thing. Cost reduction. Yes. Cost is reduced because of avoiding unwanted things like providing a wrong result and facing a dispute because of that. Without maintaining a equipment properly, spending on the maintenance, I mean service, I mean post repair. So these are all avoided because of the if the system as per ISO 1735 is implemented. So if you are a person who is looking forward to get accredited for ISO 17025, you have to be well versed with all these classes of ISO 17025 2017. Okay, so and if you implement it, it is really a very good uh, thing that will take your lab to the next level. Okay, so that's it from my side. Uh, Thank you, everyone. Over to you, Manish.
Thank you, Mr. Srinidhi. Thanks for your wonderful session. So now we'll take further with the QI accreditation process and what all fee structure will be occur. So this session will take care by my colleague, Ms. Geeta. Geeta, over to you.
Okay. Um, Good evening to everyone. Good evening to Sir Srinati sir.
Good evening, ma'am.
Yeah. So now we will be talking about role of accreditation in enhancing quality and credibility and accreditation procedure. Okay. So uh, role of accreditation. So first we need to understand what is accreditation, as Sir told you. So accreditation is the independent third-party evaluation of a conformity assessment body. It may be laboratory, biobank, inspection body, or certification body against recognized standards such as ISO IEC 17025 for calibration, conveying formal demonstration of its impartiality and competence to carry out specific conformity assessment tasks such as certification, inspection, testing, and calibration. So, what are the special features of QAI accreditation program? So, comprehensive assessment management system to allow quick turnaround time for the accreditation process as each step is linked to a defined period. So, we try to complete the accreditation process in a limited time period. We don't take too much of time as we have a defined period for each step. No mandatory pre-assessment to reduce turnaround time. So, pre-assessment is not mandatory. It is completely optional. So, if you want, you can opt for this, so it will save time if there is no pre-assessment. Introducing a new concept of self-assessment and providing opportunity to labs for a thorough review of their documentation and implementation of requirements as per standard. So we have a self-assessment toolkit. So there is a document which we introduce to yourself while you will apply for application. So this is a self-assessment toolkit where you will assess yourself, like how much your documentation is complete, or your implementation of requirements as per standards. So you will self-assess yourself and later by assessor. Our process ensures continuous support to our clients in handling their queries as each lab is unique in itself. Rigorous assessor management system, including a transparent monitoring and evaluation mechanism for all impaneled assessors. Now, what are the benefits of QI accreditation? That is international recognition, global recognition and networking, as accreditation is granted in accordance with international standard as per ISO IC 17025. It is time and cost efficient, enhanced customer confidence. If you are accredited, your customer will automatically get attracted to you, that you are complying with all the requirements. So that will benefit you. It has robust quality management system. Continual improvements are there. Better operational control, assurance of accurate and reliable results. It is cost reduction. If you are complying with the standard, so there are less chances of repeating the test or duplicacy. So it will reduce your cost. Support research and development. Accredited calibration laboratories are publicized by the accreditation body by putting their name on its website. So you can also do that, and we are also do that. Now, what is the accreditation process of QAI? So, firstly, who can apply for the accreditation? So, a laboratory implementing the requirements of ISO IEC 17025 is eligible to apply under Calibration Laboratory Accreditation Program. Now, what are the eligibility criteria for QI accreditation? So, the applicant laboratory must comply with all clauses of ISO IC 17025 2017. It is must. The applicant laboratory must have participated satisfactorily in the proficiency testing program wherever applicable, conducted by any national or international accredited or recognized PT provider. So, you have to participate in a proficiency testing program. It is must. If no suitable PT program is available, the laboratory can initiate an inter-laboratory comparison, that is ILC, with adequate number of accredited laboratories or engage into other type of internal quality control checks. So if you are not having any suitable PT program is not available as per your requirement, so you can also initiate ILC. The minimum stipulated participation for laboratories is one parameter, a type of test, or calibration per discipline prior to grant of accreditation and cover its scope in phase manner. The applicant laboratory must have conducted at least one internal audit and the MRM, that is management review meeting, before the submission of application. So at least one internal audit and one MRM is required. Now, what are the steps to achieve QAI accreditation? So if you are an applicant laboratory, so it is requested to submit the following documents. First is a soft copy of completed application form that is available on our website. Soft copy of self-assessment toolkit along with reference document. So, which I have talked to you, that self-assessment toolkit, you have to submit that. And there are so many of documents related, internal audit, MRM, your equipments, reference materials, your legal identity documents. So these are all mentioned in your application form. So you have to submit that also. It includes under application form. Then a soft copy of quality manual management system documentation, your quality manual, a copy of quality manual you have to submit, and prescribed application fees, and a soft copy of signed QAI CIA 002, that is terms and condition for maintaining QAI CIA accreditation. So you have to sign this and you have to submit it to us. And all the above information shall be sent to the given email ID info@qi.org.in. So you have to submit all this through our mail. Now, what is the scope of accreditation we are providing for calibration laboratory? Here is the scope. You can see in electrotechnical, we are giving this much: alternating current, RF, temperature simulation, AMI, AMC, direct current, time and frequency, electrical equipment, miscellaneous, oscilloscope. And in mechanical, we are having acceleration and speed, density, dimension, mass, precision instruments, surface topography, volume, acoustic, force, hardness, measuring instruments, pressure and volume, torque, viscosity, and miscellaneous. Fluid flow, we are having flow by mass, flow by volume, others. Thermal, temperature, relative humidity, optical, includes optical, then radiological, it is dosimeter, X-rays and gamma rays, area survey meter, thermal, temperature, relative humidity, medical devices. So this is our process. So the first step, this is step-by-step process which we follow for the completion of granting of accreditation. First is application. So when you will submit the application, like we discussed before, you have to submit application form and plus self-assessment come toolkit, which we are talking about. And then we will review, register and acknowledge your application. Okay, so in the review process, we will review that what documents you are lacking. And in acknowledgement of application, we will acknowledge you and provide you a reference number and the inadequacies that we need that documents you have to submit again. Okay, then we will document review. In document review, we will review your quality manual adequacy. It is done by the lead assessor. Okay, and if there are any of the inadequacies or comments raised by the lead assessor in your quality manual, so that you have to fulfill within the within 7 days. Okay, so you have 7 days to fulfill that things and submit it to us. Okay, now once the QA adequacy is done, final assessment will be conducted by assessment team. Assessment team is will be conducting of LSA, TA, or observer as needed. Then review of assessment report. It is done by the QACI secretariat after your assessment has been done. So the review of assessment report will take place by our reviewer panel. Okay. Now the feedback to laboratory and necessary corrective action taken by the laboratory, recommendation for accreditation by panel of reviewers. Once the panel of reviewers will give their recommendation that all the things are okay and the accreditation should be granted, then it will forward it for approval by CEO. Now, once the approval is given by our CEO, then we will issue the accreditation certificate and scope by QAI CIA Secretariat. Then you have to again apply for renewal before the 3 months of your expiry of accreditation. And between the, we are giving accreditation cycle of 2 years. And after completion of your 1 year, we are doing surveillance. That is, we also called it ongoing monitoring. So it includes the continued compliance of your system, so that you are compiled to the requirements of the standards. Sorry. Okay. So this is the fee structure for calibration laboratories covering all disciplines. So we have divided fee structures in different regions. For example, this is fee structure for calibration laboratories that are operating within India. So you can see that this is type of calibration laboratories, this is application fee, and this is accreditation fee. Okay, so we will take an example. For example, if you are having a mechanical discipline, that for one sub-discipline, example force, pressure, vacuum, mass, and volume, the application fee is 15,000. Okay, and if you add a sub-discipline, then it will be of 10,000 rupees. So the additional charges would be 10,000 for each addition sub-discipline. Same as for the other groups. And accreditation fee, that is your annual accreditation fee, this is rupees 30,000 as per year from the date of accreditation. And in addition, you have to pay GST, that is 18%. Now we have a fee structure for testing laboratories covering all disciplines for low and lower middle economies as per World Bank classification. Okay, so here it is different. It is as per lower middle economies countries. Okay, like here we have mechanical for one sub-discipline, force, pressure, vacuum, mass, and volume, etc. It is $200. accreditation fee is $375. For each additional subdiscipline, it is $125, and your accreditation fee is $125. Now we have fee structure for calibration laboratories for upper, middle, and high income economies as per World Bank classification. So here, if we take the example, the application fee for mechanical one subdiscipline is $600, and your accreditation fee as per year from the date of accreditation is $1125. Okay. And for each additional subdiscipline is $375. Now that's our accreditation process, fee structure. Now, if you have any questions and queries, you can please ask, or you can write in the chat box. Okay. Now you can unmute yourself and ask for any query if you are having any query, or you can write in the chat box.
Hello,
Yes,
hello.
sir. Yes.
My question is that QAI is a accreditation body like NABL
Yes.
or it is a private organization.
We are private organization, but we are equivalent to NABL. Okay. Okay.
If
And
it is certified by QAI, then it will be applicable. It will be parallel to NABL.
yes. Okay. And we are
Okay,
fulfilling all the requirements. We have ILEC, MRA, okay, in testing, in medical, in calibration.
okay. And the
Okay.
fee structure is same or you have different fee structure compared to NABL?
No, a little bit different structure.
Okay.
Okay, somewhere it is same, somewhere it is different. And
So
okay,
I can change from NABL to QAI? Suppose we already have a 2 year validity of my certificate. So
from
after 2 years,
NABL,
yes,
mm-hmm.
if I go for QI, then how can I can proceed the procedure?
You can file an application for which I have told you in the application process.
Okay,
Okay, you can file application. I'll also mention our mail ID. Okay, so if you have
okay,
any query, we will send you the application pack. Okay.
okay.
And one more thing, I will also tell you that for assessment, we are only taking travel expense charges and accommodation charges plus meal charges from the laboratories. Okay. And the assessment charges, like the honorarium for assessors, we are not taking it from labs.
Okay.
Yeah.
Actually, second thing is that we also wanted training on decision rule and statement of conformity and measurement uncertainty. Decision rule and MU. So
Okay.
how I can get the quotation from your side?
You will just drop me a mail. I will mention a mail ID here. Okay. So we will
Okay,
share the schedule because we are planning, or from time to time we are planning trainings, or it is conducting. Okay. So I'll just write the mail ID here.
We will
and in the
also
chat
share.
box.
Yeah, we will also share our training calendar also. And one training is already going this like today and tomorrow on the measurement and certainty. So every month we have a training schedule as per the standard, whether it could be ISO 17025 or 17034 or 43. So we have a training schedule. So we have dropped a feedback form along with our website training calendar link also. So whatever your query, you may submit into the feedback form also, or you can write to our official mail ID, which is info@qi.org.in.
Okay, so I have
Okay.
post our email ID, that is info@qai.org.in. So just mail your query or your if you need any training. So if you miss out, so we will reach to you. Okay.
Okay. ma'am.
Yeah.
मैडम गुड इवनिंग टू
Good
ऑल।
evening. Good evening.
मैडम मैं संजय बोल रहा हूँ STLS लैब्स प्राइवेट लिमिटेड भोपाल से।
जी सर।
मैं जस्ट ये जानना चाह रहा हूँ कि NABL और QAI में डिफरेंस क्या है। और
Okay.
मान लो मेरे पास मैडम ISO 17025 सर्टिफाइड लैब है ऑलरेडी, उसमें से मुझे कुछ पैरामीटर में एक्स्ट्रा लेना है तो क्या मैं आपसे ले सकता हूँ?
अच्छा, यस सर, श्योरली यू कैन। ओके, जो स्कोप आप हमारे लिए अप्लाई करोगे उसमें वो पैरामीटर्स आप कर सकते हो, ठीक है। और सेम हमारा प्रोसीजर वैसा ही है कि अगर आपने ले लिया है, एक्रीडेशन है आपके पास और आपको कुछ ऐड भी कराना है, तो वी कैन डू इट इन स्कोप एक्सटेंशन एक्टिविटी। ओके,
ओके।
सो हम स्कोप एक्सटेंशन कर लेते हैं, बीच में वो एक्टिविटी हमारी है। और हमारा टर्न अराउंड टाइम काफी कम है, एज पर अगर कोई मेजर क्वेरी नहीं है और या आप सबमिट कर देते हो करेक्टिव एक्शन टाइम पे। ओके, और हर स्टेप के लिए हमारा एक डिफाइंड पीरियड ऑफ टाइम है, तो जिसके लिए इट वोंट टेक टू मच।
मैडम अभी आपकी कितनी लैब जो इंडिया के अंदर में सर्टिफाइड है जो ISO 17025 से?
17025 के लिए सर हमारी 120 एक्रीडेटेड लेबोरेटरीज हैं, मैनी आर स्टिल इन प्रोसेस। ओके, एंड कैलिब्रेशन के लिए वी हैव 4।
कैलिब्रेशन के लिए ओनली 4 है?
या,
ओके।
बिकॉज वी हैव
मैडम ये
गॉट
गवर्नमेंट नॉन गवर्नमेंट्स में सभी तो रिक्वायरमेंट NABL बोलती है, लेकिन ये आपका इसमें अप्रूव होगा कि नहीं होगा, ये वाली बात है।
सर यू मे ऑल्सो विजिट आवर BIS वेबसाइट। आप BIS वेबसाइट पे जाएंगे, चेक करेंगे ना, वहां पे उन्होंने दे ऑलरेडी मेंशन अदर एक्रेडिटेशन बॉडी ऑल्सो। सो देयर ऑल्सो यू कैन चेक what other accreditation body got accredited, labs got accredited other.
या, और सर आपने स्लाइड्स में भी देखा होगा हमारी काफी एक्सेप्टेंस है जो हमने मेंशन कर रखी है, तो आप वहां से भी चेक कर सकते हैं।
ठीक है मैडम, थैंक यू वेरी मच। देखते हैं होता है तो करता हूँ मैडम कुछ।
या श्योरली सर, वी
ओके
विल
मैडम।
हेल्प यू।
राइट
या,
राइट मैम, थैंक यू वेरी मच सर।
Hello, good evening,
हेलो,
ma'am.
गुड इवनिंग।
Praveen Soni from the Sustainability Limited.
जी।
मैम एक्चुअली हमारा लैब NABL है ऑलरेडी, तो हम
जी,
QAI से एक्रेडिशन का रिक्वायरमेंट क्यों रहेगा हम लोगों को? क्या बेसिक मतलब डिफरेंस है NABL एंड QAI से? एंड आपका ये प्राइवेट ऑर्गेनाइजेशन है या
हाँ,
गवर्नमेंट से है ये थोड़ा?
नहीं,
No, even NABL also a non-private body. This is supported by the QCI. So QCI is
QCI, okay.
also NABL also not a government body.
Okay,
This
sir,
is
yeah.
supported by the QCI and a government
QCI,
body.
okay, sir.
या,
Yeah.
इट इज अ ऑटोनोमस बॉडी। सो
हम्म।
हम कैसे बेटर हैं, मैंने आपको जैसे बताया कि हमारा टर्न अराउंड टाइम काफी कम है।
Yes,
ओके,
yeah.
वी लिसन टू कस्टमर और वी
हम्म।
ट्राई टू कंप्लीट द एप्लीकेशन इन अ शॉर्टर टाइम सो दैट
हाँ।
लेबोरेटरी का काम इफेक्ट ना हो। ओके,
हम्म।
जनरली वी टेक 3 months और वी कैन डू इट अर्लियर ऑल्सो इफ देर इज नो सच थिंग। सो या,
ओके मैम, आपका मीन्स ये टेस्टिंग लेबोरेटरी में भी है ना आपका? ओनली कैलिब्रेशन में है या टेस्टिंग लैब में भी
Testing and
आप?
calibration also.
नहीं
बहुत
सर,
बहुत
हमारा एक्रीडेशन आपने देखा होगा स्लाइड्स में, तो हमारे पास टेस्टिंग भी है एज पर ISO
ओके।
17025, कैलिब्रेशन भी है, मेडिकल टेस्टिंग भी है, वी आर हैविंग
हम्म।
बायो बैंक्स ऑल्सो, वी आर हैविंग
ओके।
PT RMP।
हम्म।
ओके,
ओके मैम,
सो वी
वी
हैव
विल
दैट
कॉन्टेक्ट।
थिंग्स, इंस्पेक्शन बॉडी ऑल्सो।
मैडम हेड ऑफिस का कहाँ पर है, मतलब
QAI का
एफिलिएटेड
सर,
हेड ऑफिस आपका ये QAI का कहाँ पे है सर आप मैडम?
सर नोएडा में है, नोएडा सेक्टर 18।
अच्छा, तो ये इंडिया के लिए, इंडिया से बाहर मतलब ये
सर
अपने
अभी
इंडिया का
हेड
ऑफिस?
ऑफिस, हाँ हमारा इंडियन ही है, और हमारे पास जो एक्रीडेशन लेबोरेटरीज है, हमारी ग्लोबल प्रेजेंस है 11 कंट्रीज में। सो हमारे पास जो लेबोरेटरीज हैं वो बहरीन, मोरक्को, हमारी प्रेजेंस है घाना, कतार, ओके, नेपाल। सो यहाँ यहाँ हमारी प्रेजेंस है।
मैम एक क्वेरी है, वन क्वेरी मोर।
जी
मैम
बताएं।
मैक्सिमम जो कंपनीज है वो एनएबीएल लैब को प्रिफर करता है। लाइक हम कहीं भी आप जैसे किसी को टेस्ट कराना तो वो बोलेगा कि आपका लेबोरेटरी एनएबीएल या एमओएफ अप्रूव्ड हो, आपका एक्रेडिटेशन एनएबीएल से हो, देन वो इशू।
हाँ, इशू नहीं है सर, वो अवेयरनेस का इशू है कि सेम
Okay.
वही काम कर रही है जो वो बॉडी वो काम कर रही है, बस ये अवेयरनेस होनी चाहिए।
एक्चुअली रीजन एक ही है कि एनएबीएल काफी टाइम पहले से था। सो अभी इन इंडिया में अब आप चेक करेंगे टोटल 4 एक्रेडिटेशन बॉडी इंडिया में आ चुकी है। सो दिस इज ओनली अबाउट द अवेयरनेस बिकॉज लास्ट 2 or 3 years अदर एक्रेडिटेशन बॉडी आल्सो स्टार्टेड ऑपरेशंस। सो
Okay.
इतने शॉर्ट टाइम में वी ऑलरेडी गॉट एक्रेडिटेड 1120 टेस्टिंग लेबोरेटरीज। सो वी इसी पर्पज के लिए वी आर मेकिंग पीपल अवेयर अबाउट अदर एक्रेडिटेशन बॉडी। लाइक एवरी
Okay.
सेक्टर्स में आप करेंगे कि देर आर ऑलरेडी अदर प्लेयर्स। चाहे आप
Yes.
टेलीकॉम सेक्टर में चेक कीजिए या हॉस्पिटल में या टेस्टिंग में, सभी लोगों के पास अदर ऑप्शंस है। सो वी आर गिविंग ऑप्शंस टू पीपल सो दे कैन कंपेयर विद अदर एक्रेडिटेशन बॉडी, जहाँ पे उनको लगे विच इज बेटर टू देम दे कैन ऑप्ट फॉर अदर एक्रेडिटेशन बॉडी। सो ऐसा ना हो कि एक मोनोपोली हो जाती है ना, अगर एनएबीएल है तो जो वो करना चाहिए वही आपको फॉलो करना पड़ता है। So other sectors where people have more options. So same, you if you are not satisfied with the facility of QI, you can opt for other accreditation body. If you are not satisfied with the NAPL, you can go for other accreditation body also.
या तो आप
So
हमारी
we are giving options to the people. क्योंकि यही फील्ड था जहाँ पे लोगों के पास ऑप्शंस नहीं थे। बाकी अदर सेक्टर्स में आप चेक करेंगे, हर सेक्टर्स में पीपल हैव मोर देन 2 or 3 ऑप्शंस। सो एक्रेडिटेशन
Yes.
में ओनली देयर वाज ओनली वन एक्रेडिटेशन बॉडी। सो
Yes.
सेम
Only
जैसे जैसे बीआईएस ने अभी एक्सेप्टेड किया है, सो काफी सारे ऑर्गेनाइजेशंस हैं दे स्टार्टेड एक्सेप्टेड क्यूआई एक्रेडिटेशन आल्सो। सो सून अदर विल आल्सो स्टार्ट एक्सेप्टिंग।
Okay. Thank you.
यू कैन विजिट अवर वेबसाइट ऑल्सो सर। ओके, तो सारी इंफॉर्मेशन है हमारे बारे में वहाँ पे।
सो अभी
ये
जैसे
बहुत
मैंने बताया, आप
मैडम ये
बीआईएस
बहुत
वेबसाइट।
जरूरी था एनएबीएल का पोजीशन में आने के लिए, बहुत अच्छा है।
या वी आर ट्राइंग सर, और वही अवेयरनेस की बात है। आप जितना चेक करेंगे, हमारी वेबसाइट भी चेक कीजिएगा, तो यू विल नो मोर अबाउट इट।
ठीक है मैडम, थैंक यू।
तो वही अगर आप बीआईएस की ऑफिशियल वेबसाइट्स पे जाएंगे, जहाँ पे आप वहाँ जहाँ पे लेबोरेटरी सर्च का ऑप्शन है ना, वहाँ पे अदर बॉडी एक्रेडिटेशन बॉडी एनेबल के साथ साथ अदर एक्रेडिटेशन बॉडी भी मेंशन की हुई है।
ओके, किस पे बोल रहे हैं मैम सर आप? BIS?
बीआईएस बीआईएस।
या BIS?
मैं एक
या
सेकंड,
वी आर एक्सेप्टेड बाय बीआईएस।
अभी उनका मैं लिंक शेयर कर देता हूँ जहाँ पे
ओके।
ये बीआईएस का लिंक मैंने शेयर किया है। आप
यस।
ऊपर टॉप बॉटम में कंफर्मिटी असेसमेंट और लेबोरेटरी सर्च में जाएंगे ना, लेबोरेटरी सर्च में लिस्ट ऑफ बीआईएस रिकॉग्नाइज के नीचे एनएबीएल क्यूआई एक्रेडिटेशन और अदर 2 एक्रेडिटेशन बॉडी भी मेंशन की हुई है।
ओके ओके सर, आई विल चेक।
या
थैंक यू,
our
थैंक
name
यू,
is there sir, yeah, you can check. Oh,
थैंक यू।
any other questions? And one more thing sir, if you have any query, any one of you, so please kindly mail us so we can reach out to you.
ऑल्सो सबमिट योर फीडबैक फॉर्म।
Yeah. Okay. Okay, I'll request everyone, please kindly, if you are comfortable, kindly open your, switch on your camera so we can take a group photo for the day.
Okay, so we request everyone to please switch on your camera. We can take a group photograph. Okay, everybody is ready. Please smile. Thank you, everyone. So we will address your query, whatever you have. You may drop your query and concern to your to our official website. Thank you, everyone. Have a wonderful day. Bye bye.